Hello, everyone, and welcome to the gatherings. We are here live today from South Africa. I hope everyone is online and can see us. Um, I'm just gonna give it a little bit of some feedback, some comments. For those that are online joining us and is live with us, I have just posted a hello. I hope people can see us. And if you are live with us, please just pop a message so that we can see that you are live before I bring on all of the guests. And those that are watching, just say hello, pop it into whether you're watching from Facebook, whether you're watching from Instagram. I see we have someone that says hello. I think that's Leanne. Hey, Leanne. I can see your comment, so I know we're live on YouTube. For anyone's watching on Facebook, just reply so that we can see that you're here. Welcome, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. I'm going to bring our guest on. There's going to be no introductions, as we do know who they are on the previous videos that we did. So let me just bring on the people. We have Pello. Hello, Pello.
Hi, Sash.
How you doing?
Uh, I'm great, thanks. And how are you?
Oh, well, thank you. We're bringing on Kim. Hey, Kim, coming from Cape Town. How you doing?
Hi, good. How are you?
All good, all good. And our special guest all the way from Peru. Hey, Steph.
Hey everyone. Happy to
All
be
right.
here. It's very early in my part of the world.
It is very early. And Steph, thank you so much for waking up that early and also feeding your cat on time.
Yes.
All right. So, guys, I'm not going to do any introductions, team. For those that are online that want to know who these beautiful ladies are, you can catch all of their videos that they did in the week for you to understand the work that they do and who they are. So, I am going to open up this conversation with this opening, and then these ladies are going to tag in and share their views. All right. So, as we gather today, we are not going to close with answers. We're going to look at a lot of things that obviously that we know that we don't get to talk about out in the open. So we're not just going to talk, we're here together today. So today's conversation is called When Love Remembers, the Ego Unravels. And I want to begin with something very simple, which I think a lot of people that's going to listen to this live and when they're going to go on to the recorded stuff, and I'm going to make a statement says humanity is tired, right? We're exhausted and we are tired of performing. We're tired of surviving. We're tired of being right. We're tired of holding our shit together. Yes, I said shit together because that's what we do, right? Many of us live in a very survival mode, protecting, defending, controlling, not because we are hard, but because we once had to be this way due to the things that we had to face in our lives. So, even at that survival, love still continues and continues to remember who we are. It remembers our softness, it remembers our innocence, it remembers our humanity, and we have forgotten it. But love does not only confront us, because real love confronts us, it exposes us, it touches our wounds, it unravels the identities we build to say safe. And sometimes we think love hurts, when in truth, it is our ego being invited to soften. So, this afternoon, you beautiful ladies out there, and with the intelligence and your intuition and the guidance that you all have and get, which I know and love and appreciate, I am saying, has love has remembrance, love has truth, love has the force that restores us and force that transforms us as well. So, for those whoever is joining us, I welcome you to our first talk, The Gatherings. And we have all arrived in this space. So let's take on, guys. Let's gather and let's listen together. Ladies, and that's me opening it up to today's talk. I know that was a lot. we have people on. So hey Romy, thank you guys for joining. Leanne, thank you guys so much. I know we have South Africa, we have KZN, we have Johannesburg as well that's joining. So whoever is, thank you so much for joining. I also want to say, please put in your comments. I can track all of the comments coming from the multiple platforms in order to share with these lovely ladies. And when you're asking the question, please refer to who are you asking the question to. So who can I give it to?
None of us
Come,
are really in a hurry to go first. So
let's go.
I'll tell you what I'll do, Sheshni.
Yeah.
I'll introduce today's numerology because I think it's just a
Yes.
totally different swing on
Yeah.
the discussion around remembrance, love, and this ego unraveling process that I think humanity are already fully in the swing of. So today's, I think for most who are in touch with astrological and various types of universal, I think it's language. The astrology is quite potent at the moment. We are between eclipses. So we're receiving that proverbial total eclipse of the heart.
Okay.
Which is quite sweet because I thought originally when you set this date, or when we all chose or managed to actually land on this date, because Steph is on the other side of the world and it takes quite a lot for us to synchronize. I thought, I think I remember saying this is the most beautiful date because we're right between the solar and the lunar eclipse. And it literally is a moment of just bringing forth so much truth and so much reality. So today's, I literally drew out the exact numbers of today. The first is the divine feminine at number 21.
Okay.
And I'm just going to refer to these as sacred activations, the divine feminine. So let's just see what comes up as we do our chat. The second month, we're going to pin on the sacral chakra. And then we're going to split 2026 into exactly how we say the words 20 and 26. So 20 is the power and the energy of discernment. And it's you can see the frequency is blue. And we can always take a picture of this later and pop it into the comments. And finally, 26 is empowerment. And then I'll do, at the end of things, I'll do the different tiers, but there's always a card in the way that I work. There's always a card that throws itself out of the deck without me asking for a card. And that was the one of the global year 10 or 1, which is authority. So authority sort of sandwiched out of there. And I thought that was quite a beautiful synchronicity because when we're talking about this humanity and fatigue and love and remembrance and the ego, we're actually fundamentally, we're just talking about our evolution and the integration of everything. We might as well just have integrated an entire century of exhaustion and an entire century of having our egos developed in a way that we didn't really consent to, we adapted to. And I just believe that humanity's consciousness and evolution is just a forced effect of that fatigue and the rising up of us needing to take our power back. And the power of love is the only way to do that. That is my first impression. And I think the second would be the way we've been taught about what love is by society and the conditioning. You know, we've had to really unravel that because we have perhaps been superficially and unintentionally shown how to be more lovable and to be loved and to love others by sort of like the 3-dimensional experiences that we've had. And that has involved an absolute lack of consciousness, which I would say has risen with each one of us the growth that we've needed to experience as we realize our fatigue is getting ridiculously out of hand I think through a lot of illness, actually. Disease and illness are normally the one thing, as many others. But disease and illness is literally possibly one of the end points of your ego saying, okay, now, you need to return to love. You need to remember who you are. But there are many other ways that we need to remember who we are and return to love. And it's not so much that we're trying to figure out what love is anymore. We're actually wanting to stand still long enough so that we can feel again, so that we can feel our humanness. It's not that we actually are seeking more meaning. To me, what we're actually seeking is we want to feel alive again, truly alive with ourselves, within our bodies, embodying the feeling of what it should really have been feeling like to be human, not to be machine-like, because humans are creatures of emotion and emotion. We are not machines. And this is part of the fatigue and the symptoms that we have as the human race of how out of control it is, are things like the wars, the unbelievable, despicable behaviors of humans against other humans that's totally inhumane, and then disease and illness and fatigue and desperate unhappiness. We don't want to be normal anymore. The normal that we've created is not normal. I don't want to be normal. I would like to be human. I want to feel my humanity, and the namaste, that which I see in you is in me. So what have we created? What are we seeing in each other? Oh my word, let's return to love, return to love, return to love. Okay, so I'm going to stop there.
Oh, that's a lot. I think before I give it to Pillow, I see she unmuted, right? So interesting. We want to feel love. What does normal mean, right? Normal means so many things for so many different people. I think feeling love has the feeling in general. I think we've distracted ourselves so much that we cannot feel anymore. We don't know what it's like to feel, and let alone feel in our bodies again. Even our body, mind, soul, however you want to relate that to, we have the segregation between all of them. And there's not this harmony that comes between all of them, or the rhythm or the beat between all three of them, where they are singing the same song, let alone feeling the same way. It's got the segregation between all levels of them. So true in that. So people, whoever's online, please share whatever your comments are as well. Pillow.
Yes, Sash. Thank you so much. Firstly, thank you so much for having me today. And I'm so glad to have these lovely ladies, because a lot of the times I find that when we're in the same virtual room, something gets inspired to come out, even if I wasn't thinking it. And I'm so glad you started with Kimi, because Kim comes with that numerology part, which, like it or not, will push truth in your face. So I'm inspired by you, dear Kimi, and in what you inspired me with, I'm gonna specify. You said humanity is tired. Was it you, Sesh, or was it Kim? One of you said humanity is tired. Our human selves have been detached so much from our spirits that our spirits are tired of our nonsense. I'll just add a layer to that. Our spirits are tired of our nonsense, because we have believed the nonsense that we are physical, and yet we're not physical. We're having a physical experience, and we are spirits, and our spirits dictate to us where we're supposed to be, because that's our authentic self. And our authentic self is not going to be patient with us, because it knows how long we're going to be on this planet, each of us. And so my spirit, and I'm going to talk about me as Hello, and I know that that happens to everyone. My spirit is exhausted of the nonsense I've put it through, and it knows what my purpose for existence is. And so it's not going to be patient for long because it knows what I'm supposed to, it knows my task here. And if I'm not getting to where I'm supposed to be in this lifetime, its purpose, it's going to force me to suffer. Remember, the Buddha said, all of life is suffering. It's
Mhm.
suffering because we bring it onto ourselves.
Oh,
You spoke
yes.
of normal. What is normal? Normal is something that's a human concept. It's a concept of the mind. It's not a concept of who we truly are. It's not a concept of our essence. And so that which we think is normal is actually our ego, which goes with the persona that we develop. So Pello is this kind of person, Kim is that kind of person, Steph is that kind of person, and we get complacent because we believe that's who we are. That's not who we are. That is what we've adopted. And a lot of that is based on wounds. It's not based on a healed version and an authentic version of self. And so what then happens is that spirit knows that, hey, listen, you're sick, you're suffering from a human condition right now, and snap out of it because you're bigger than that. And I'm not going to be patient with you because you know that you can do this. And so
Mm.
in our complaining and whining and grinding and whatever it is that we're doing and wanting to control others, it says get over yourself. Because when we are sitting in our ego, what happens is that we are disconnected. We're disconnected. We have presidents and we've got leaders and we've got lovers and we've got all sorts of relationships that break down humanity because we're sitting with this thing that is not even permanent, which is an ego self. And that ego needs to be shattered because now is not the time to play the games that we've been playing, because there's transformation that needs to take place for humanity to evolve to its authentic version. And that's not what we've been doing. And the authentic version of coexistence on earth, which is one of the purposes why we're here, the authentic connection is what is supposed to happen. And what have we been doing? We've been seeing differences and things that make us different. I'm different from that person because they sit in that part of the world and they look this way and they sound this way and they believe in this and they believe in that. And all of the things that we've been doing, including classism, everything that we've been doing has been very loud to say that instead of humanity being what it's supposed to be, which is a connected being, we have become so separated from number one, from each other, number two, from ourselves, our true selves. We've been connected, we've been disconnected even from our source, our creator. And so, how do you think we're going to function with all of that? We're busy destroying the world with everything that we're doing. We're busy destroying the spirit of humanity. We're busy destroying the planet that we've been given. And so even the planet is saying, I'm unhappy with you. When it was COVID time, a lot of people were complaining, but we failed to see an opportunity there to say, let me look at myself and say, am I really on the right path of getting humanity where it's supposed to be? Because we're supposed to be each other's caregivers. I think we spoke about that in the last session with Sesh. And
Mm.
we're supposed to be each other's brothers keepers. But instead, we are the opposite of that. We're hating on one another. Instead of us bringing us together, we pushing each other apart. We're finding every single little thing that's going to separate us. Even the very thing that we created, which is the internet, which we said is going to bring us together, is the very thing that is separating us from our true essence. Because with this technology, the very technology that we're using and depending on, we are losing connection with nature. We're losing true connection with one another. We can only talk like this and smile and act. But when we come out of these cameras, when we come out into the real world, we can't even relate to one another because we have become so fake, because that's our normal. So if our normal is our ego, love, which is something that we all have, we connected to love, our creator, right? We connected to love. We are love. Our true essence is love. So when you say love remembers, what I am hearing, Sesh, is I, my true self, my spirit is remembering that this is bull. Pelogazi, get over yourself. This Pelogazi label has gone to your head. So get over yourself. You need to find me. And what is going to happen? We will suffer because our spirit is not going to tolerate this. If you look at, for example, where we are, I love what you did there with the numerology and the year one. But what I also would like us to look at is the Chinese year of the snake. Remember, the Chinese year of the snake it was from Feb 2025, right? And we right at the tail of it. We're saying now on the 17th, we stepped into the year of the fire horse. But what in essence has happened is that a lot of us have fought against what our spirits were saying we need to do. We didn't want to transform. We didn't want to engage with other people. We didn't want to get over ourselves. We didn't want to get off the high horse. And so what then happened is that we get forced by our own spirits to get over ourselves. That shedding of the skin, like a snake sheds its skin of the year 2025, is still painful for a lot of people because they are holding on to their ego and their ego identity. And that is where we find ourselves saying, it's painful, it's painful. Yes, it's going to be painful because we need to know that when you are authentic, it's not painful, it's effortless. That will be my opening statement. Thank you,
That was
ladies.
a mouthful of an opening statement, but so much of truth in it, right? I mean, you know, separation has been one of the biggest things that have come up in so much of people around the world, right? I mean, those that know that I travel and I see it everywhere we go, right? The ego has taken over and we don't know how to come back to ourselves, let alone understand that we are operating from this space. And the more I find that we tap into our ego and want more, the more separate we become from ourselves, let alone nature. You know, we don't even have to start with that. I mean, Mother Earth has been, I mean, I can go into a different conversation, but Mother Earth has been blowing up her shit, right? She's like, what are you guys people are doing out here, right? It's like, let me give you some more fire on this planet and let me shake you up so that you can feel what I'm feeling right now because she's feeling it, but we're not. And that's that disconnection, and I think that's happening all across this planet right now. So Pello, amazing. Steph.
Uh, Listen, I just want to apologize. I'm just still waking up. And I'm like, focus. Come on, caffeine in this tea, wake me up. Okay, so what I felt came to my mind as Kim was speaking was the tiredness, but what it reminded me of was my own personal journey when I feel something drains me or like, ugh, like I just feel heavy around it. For me, that's a clear sign that it's not in alignment. And so, with this conversation on coming back to love, and love is going to bring you back to authenticity as well. For me, I think what I want to share is that we're in a place right now where a lot of us are much more in tune on some level with a deeper aspect of ourselves that's constantly trying to guide us on our highest path, on a path that is bringing us back home to who we truly are. And a way to reconnect with that is really listening to ourselves. And if something that you're doing or planning on doing makes you feel heavy and like you're just unmotivated, you're drained, that's probably a clear indication that that's not the way for you. And I say this because I think a few months ago, oh no, like a month ago or so, when I was taking a course, I was asking about my career, my purpose. I've been on a journey with that, coming back to that. And the advice that was given to me was like, You know, I'm here to experiment many different things and find my way. And I'm like, oh God, I don't want to like, just give me the answer now. Like, I just want to hurry up and know. Like, what am I supposed to do? Where am I going? But what was told to me was like, but a faster way to move through that is tuning into yourself and seeing how you feel. And if something doesn't feel good to you, if it feels like a lot of work, if you feel resistance around that, then that's a clear indication that you don't even need to explore that path and bother to waste your time going down that path. You already know intuitively. If you still want to walk that path, you can, but you don't have to. And you can, you know, go through your process of elimination much more quickly. And so that's what I want to share is, if something just doesn't feel good to you, whether it just feels like, I don't know, like just heavy emotions, you know, hateful emotions, sad, or whatever, then that's telling you something. And it's trying to bring you back to who you truly are, and just back to a path of, you know, true authenticity and love and alignment. So that's what I want to share so far.
So, Steph, I think a lot of people, thank you so much for that. I think a lot of people struggle with how do I find myself getting back into that space, right? You know, some people, that disconnection that they're feeling, they don't even know how to get back into that space. You know, they don't even know what it means to connect with their body. I mean, Kim was alluding to illnesses as well, right? People don't even know if they're ill anymore because they're so distracted. And they only realize if someone is collapsing or someone has a heart attack or they get diagnosed with a dreaded disease, all of a sudden they wake up, not realizing you've had signs many, many of times before. You're just not distracted. So, as much as you had received that message, you know, when you were on that course, what it was it like to get back into listening to yourself again, going back into yourself again, right? I mean, I'm not too sure how much far were you off that, or were you still close to yourself, right? Some people are very far off themselves, Steph. They can't reach themselves. It's unreachable in some cases, right? And they need to have practical understanding, but it's not sitting outside of yourself. It's stuff that you need to do. So what are the things that you did, you know, when you had to listen to this advice that you received from the course?
I think the people that are going to be listening to this video are people that are more in tune with themselves, not necessarily
Mhm.
people who are distracted, but um, I don't have all the answers. I can just share my own experience. Um, I feel like I was just on a journey of flowing and learning to trust and surrender. And I'm a very driven person, so I want things now and like to see progress and that kind of stuff. And I had to go through a process of deconditioning from that and learning to accept the here and now and learning to accept that I'm just wandering through life and I don't have a clear, you know, view of where I'm headed, but I'm just moving through life and letting that be okay and letting things become clear to me as they're meant to be or as I'm ready for them. And so I just went on this journey of exploring different things. And along the way, I just felt like my personal life in this case was telling me, like, hey, you need to get back to this healing work stuff. And you need to do it in a way that feels good to you. And that led me to a different modality that I currently practice. And then gradually, as I took action on that, without any expectations of what to do with it, just letting it be what it needs to be. It just led me to another thing and another thing. And gradually the path is being revealed. But I personally do pay attention to the signs. And I think everyone on this call pays attention to the signs, and everyone listening pays attention to those kinds of signs. So I don't think most of us will have to have those really strong wake up calls to finally get our asses into gear. Um, you know, but I understand and I empathize for the people that don't, because they're living their day to day and they only have awareness of their day to day, and they currently can't go beyond that.
Okay. Thank you so much. I'm just putting up some comments that have been coming up, guys. Can you see them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. So here's some comments that's been coming through as well. So anybody want to share any thoughts on what Steph has said, or anything else that has come up for you? Kim?
Well,
Anything?
also just to exactly what Steph was talking about in her personal experience, and to also overlap that with what Pella was saying about the year of snake. And the year of snake was a watershed year as well. It was a wood snake. If you look at the Chinese astrology, that means that the ending of wood snake year actually has wood snake energy is apparently not rushing. So I also think like Steph goes and she goes and asks for like, tell me what, please help me to give me some guidance. And then I want to just give me one answer. I want it now, and this is part of this rat race mentality, ego pressure. I like to refer to it as ego. I'm very compassionate because I've had tremendous personal wars with my ego, and
I
I'm
think we
sure
all
you all
have.
attest to that. So I actually I apply love like a band-aid to everything. I say, okay, be compassionate towards this ego, and I speak to it as if it's another child or it's a child with a temper tantrum most of the time. And it's a child with a temper tantrum is experiencing so much frustration because, like you've rightfully said, I'm out of alignment. I've got symptoms. Get me out of this cage. And I want an answer, but actually we need the healing. We need the silence to get into that rhythmic coherence, to get into that first reconnect. And I'm a person who's practiced wellness. Let's just give it the box of wellness because it's a long story, for 28 years. And at the end of 2023, I couldn't even move my body. I was so out of alignment. I had to quit every job that I had. I had to lie in the bed and say, right now, I need a doctor because I don't know what's wrong with me. I can't breathe. I have no energy. I'd have no drive, no motivation. Everything was gone. Like my body was just a mess. And I'm supposed to know better because my ego was driving my whole life, even though I'm a so-called, natural health wellness worker, whatever you may want titles. I'm just human, right? And at the end of the day, that whole unraveling process just makes you realize that alignment factor is what love is. Out of alignment, out of love. In alignment, in love. It's love is naturally the frequency which unites. And that's what it's the union of the we are one. And, even so much this week in itself, I've been actually for longer, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I've had 3 or 4 clients and healers saying to me, I don't even have a career anymore. I am what I do. I have become, because you get into alignment, you're doing something and it's natural to you and it flows. And that is really where I think that the snake year has brought us to, and some people move faster than others, and a lot of people don't move out of the pain body without support. So I keep on saying to everyone, I'm noticing how many extended hands are also involved in this love therapy, that if you have found alignment, recognize what humanity needs because you've gone through it yourself, your next step is to then extend the line. Let me extend the line to you. Let me show you how this is done. I can show you because I am doing it now. And this is the whole wheel. Like when we create this wheel of the journey, we start, and that, you were saying, spirit is saying, okay, I'm, now you must catch a wake up call. Catch a wake up. We're not, you might be tired, but I'm also tired of you. So smack, smack. And that's the fire element that's coming in this year, because the water element was all purification. It was like the divine loving waters of spirit, like giving us a hiding with a great big wave, wash all this crap off you, give you, somebody throwing an ice cold bucket over your head, wake up, and then it sheds and sheds each layer of skin until it's done. And it's not really done. I mean, I read this beautiful comment this week about the year of wood snake. Wood snake energy grows roots for wings to emerge. Snake energy sheds in silence, in privacy, in the dark cave of the soul, in the dark night. And I just thought, isn't this amazing? Because everybody kind of thinks that this timing happens like chuk, like, that clock in, clock out. Okay, we out of snake year and we into fire horse year. But it Everyone has their own process, and we have
Transitions. Yeah.
still got to remember that we can be both grieving and empowered. Who says we can't be both? Who says we can't be doing multiple things on different dimensions at one time, even if you don't think in your intelligent mind that that's possible? If you do things in your heart, you're doing them all at the same time because you're in the intentional space of becoming aligned. So your intention is already speaking to your reality, that is who I am becoming. I am remembering who I want to be, who I really am, and I'm already reaching for it into the future. I'm pointing to it, I'm desiring it, and therefore I can still grieve at the same time, shed at the same time, and feel the fire burning in my engines. And I just want to encourage, including myself, because I'm only now still building up my iron levels. I had absolutely no iron in my body for virtually probably 7 years. Did you think I was paying any attention? No, I was just driving the ego wheel until my body eventually said no. And you can still feel both simultaneously. I have days where I'm still really compassionate about my body's fatigue. I'm really honoring my body because my body is a part of my spiritual journey. My spirit
Yeah.
is a part of my physical body. This is one vehicle. This is one human
Yeah.
being. This is one whole, and the divine in me is in the divine in you. You are exactly the same as me. And we are actually just a mirror of one another. And that is where we need to extend the line and say, you know what, I will be a lamp and a lifeboat. And when I can't be one, I will phone you and ask me to be my lamp and my lifeboat for the day. And this is what the whole union of the divine is actually showing us how to do. Aside from the fact that we mustn't forget who we are as individuals, we need to take back our assertiveness, our power. And you know, the best place to start is self-discipline. It's just saying, I'm going to walk in nature for 10 minutes a day, even if it's 5. You know, it's like you're saying, if I can just get away from the screen, well, then why don't you? We have to become hard disciplinarians on the screaming toddler and say, let's distract you with something that's really good for you, because that will create the coherence that you're needing to move towards. So that's the reality you're wishing to create. So go there, little child. I think that the thing that we're so used to is being hard on ourselves. So even though spirit is cracking the whip and saying, come, the fire is burning now, you just can't sit in it, because there is such a thing as ego apathy as well. By the time humanity is exhausted, complacent, lost, confused, and then full of arrogance because of it, and anger and frustration, you then go between the two polarities of anger, frustration, and complete apathy and exhaustion, either being an expression of humanity in itself. So if we don't kind of bring something to the child to say, here's an exciting adventure, let's go and play there for a minute. I often speak to my clients and myself about doing play therapy for half an hour and go and play with something, because we can get too sucked into the work dimension of needing to perform or needing to do something, and it removes you from love.
Okay. So 2 things came very strong. One, the whole thing about the different emotions that we have to feel at a particular time, right? So we have to have love, we have to have empathy, we cannot feel grief, we cannot do this. The multiple dimensional emotions that we have at one given time has to be recognized. Has to be recognized. Why? Because you cannot ignore the emotions that come up. It's healing. It is your healing path going forward. If you dismiss what is coming through, you are not acknowledging these emotions and feelings in order to connect with. So, going back to what Kim has said, you don't have to be in a space of love, it's sadness, grief, happiness, joy, laughter, all of it coming. You are exposed to experience it, whether it's at one given time, whether it's coming, it's going to come in waves. So you're not just supposed to be feeling love or happiness or grief. It goes in waves. Acknowledge it. Second thing, masculine and feminine. In order to become whole, And in order to be union, you need both. You need the balance and the harmony between your masculine and feminine. You cannot have the one or the other. You need both in harmony. And that's where the rhythm of the soul, heart, and body comes in, right? Has to. If you do the one, and we've been in our masculine side freaking how many years right now? We don't even know what the freaking feminine side means these days, right? Listen, I was in Nepal last year in October, and I was in 200 hours of meditation. If there's one thing I got out of that, is how my body felt. I never felt my body than I felt when I was in meditation. And I've been doing meditation for 10 years, right? I only started teaching meditation probably in the last 3 years now. But going to Nepal and sat in meditation for 200 hours, feeling my body from the inwards out was something that truly resonated with what I was missing out on. So connecting with your body is something that I truly understand what it means to connect, going through the disciplines. And Kim, as much as you're saying, if you make the time for the screen or if you go to nature for 10 minutes, the only thing I would add to that is the consistency that we apply in everything that we do, because that's what's missing. We have so much of YouTube videos out there, so much of mental health wellness out there, so much of trauma courses, everything, so much of things that we need to do. Everybody does meditate, everybody does everything. Let's just say that. The thing that humanity doesn't do is the consistency across the disciplines that speak to them. You cannot do it once and think you healed. You cannot do it twice. It's a consistent practice that you have to do all the time.
Well,
Okay.
healing is love. Healing ourselves is part of the action, a loving
Yeah.
action towards ourselves. We don't
We
know how
are
to do it
never
naturally.
we are never truly healed because we'll never be truly healed.
Mm.
This journey is it's a shit show, guys. Let's be honest about it, right? When do you think you're healed? Then you come back and they get smacked in your ass, and then you're gonna take off the shit, and then you go all over again. We're never truly healed, right? Pillow, you want to say something?
Yo, there's so much that's coming up for
I
me right now. One of those things is the fact that Kim spoke about being gentle and kind to that child. If you look at our egos, a lot of the times what solidifies our egos are, like I said, wounds. So a wounded inner child. And a wounded inner child is not just wounded with the things that you remember, it's wounded with things you do not remember. And those are the most burdensome things. The ones that you remember are the easiest to deal with. But there's stuff that maybe happened, let's say, pre childbirth. So when you were still in your mother's tummy, there's stuff that happened when you, during the process of birth, the stuff that happened when you were an infant. So you do not remember those things and you can't identify with them. And a lot of the times you then say, no, that's not my story. So we then think that when you talk of an inner child that's wounded, we're talking about the things that you can remember. It's not often the case. So that's one. And hence maybe we need to be gentle with the inner child. However, Kim, and everyone. However, it's important that we do not pacify that child to sit in that corner and cry, fall in victim all the time. It needs to remember that it's got an ability to heal itself. What I remember from my own personal journey and what I've now recently discovered, I think Sash, there's a process
Mhm,
that I've developed now, a process of people remembering who they are. It's called the breakthrough blueprint.
mhm,
The breakthrough blueprint itself is not a blueprint from me. It's a blueprint that every single person has, because every single person has intuition that guides you towards your own healing. It takes place within 6 days. You cannot tell me that I've healed a person in 6 days. What I can tell you is that those people remembered, and their own love in self within them remembered and reminded them of their greatness. And you find that people achieve so many great things within a period of 6 days. And somebody says, "Oh, coach, you're so awesome." No, no. What I've just done is to assist you, to facilitate a process of you remembering who you are, you remembering your greatness, you remembering your purpose. Because if we're moving forward and we are advancing as humanity, there are certain things that we need to leave behind. We cannot always pacify ourselves and have a crutch all the time. At some point, we need to dump the crutch and start waddling so that we can walk. So we need to move forward with purpose, understanding that each of us have got a built-in intuition. So what I have seen is people thinking intuition belongs to a Sashni, a Steph, a Kim. They don't understand that they themselves are healers. Everyone has a healer within. And we just need to awaken that healer within, and that healer within will heal the things that you've been struggling with. And that healer within will heal the inner child that's been bothering you, that's been making you to be stagnant in your progress emotionally, career wise, financially, and in every other way. So it is important that people need to remember that sometimes when the pain comes from love remembering, the pain is coming as your teacher for your purpose. A lot of the times, I think four of us around this table, for four of us, I know for a fact that our pain, the things that we had to go through, our egos had to be flooded with for us to do what you're doing, are probably the things that we are assisting other people with, because your personal story and your personal journey is your university for the work that you do. There is no book that you will find that will guide you on what to do. You then trust your intuition that has awakened, that's going to lead people to their healing, but even your own healing. Once you're doing work with people, I mean, in the breakthrough blueprint, what I find is that when people get those aha moments, I'm getting my own aha moments. So the teacher becomes the student. I then get taught through somebody else's story. I remember my own things that I'm needing to deal with when somebody else awakens. So it is one thing to detach ourselves. It's another when we're connecting and you find that that space becomes your teacher. Meanwhile, you've given yourself a title that you're a coach, you're a teacher, you're a healer, but you then get taught and you get healed and you get coached by people when they are awakening, and they are their process of awakening. When you observe what happens to them, you then realize that it's happening to you too. So we become our each other's keepers in that sense, because I feel like I'm walking into that room, I'm nervous because I don't know what stories are going to come out. And when the stories come out, I then realize that the reason why I was nervous was because I was going to remember something, I just didn't know at what time. And so when the person says their story and they are starting to heal at that time, my spirit says, you know what time it is. Catch a wake up. I'm not going to be kind to you because you are being taught by this very person. Your flippant ego is telling you that you're the coach, but actually, you are the coachee right now. So that is what is coming up for me. And again, this positivity thing, Kim, I'm I'm so glad that you talked about it. This thing of we need to be positive, we need to be positive. You get exhausted from being positive, because if
Yeah.
nothing shifts, you get tired. You get
Yeah.
tired. You're like,
Also,
I was
it's
positive for the
not
past year.
believing.
Stuff is
We
still
just
happening. You know, I'm
yeah.
exhausted from all of this positivity. And listen, one of the things that will tell you when it's time up for you to get over your nonsense is when you walk into spaces and nobody gives you even a single look. Nobody cares who you are. You are in spaces where you are going to be purged because you are reducing yourself to less than who you are. The essence of who you are is being watered down, and so spaces will purge you, and you find that people don't give you the attention that you normally got, that fed your ego. And so that's time to snap out of it and say, you know what, uh I loved this space, but actually maybe it's time I move because my spirit and my purpose are calling. And so I need to get uncomfortable so that my pain can teach me what to do in that moment. I love what you said about the healers, Kim, because that is what we are going through. We're going through the most. and the Kims of this world are going to hold our hands. And yes, Kim, I will not just hold your hand, I will hold on to you, because
Mm.
I need to know what's happening to me. I thought I was a healer. I need flipping healing right now. And so, yes, we will need to do that for one another. And there is nothing worse than a healer who is bleeding on people that need to be healed. And so we need to
100.
heal as
Mm,
healers.
mm,
Yeah,
mm.
thank you.
Steph?
I want to say that I take back some of what I said earlier because Kim really reminded me that a lot of times the ego thinks, I've done this training, I have this knowledge, I have this experience. I should have my shit together, or I should know better, or I should know how to get myself into alignment, or all these different things. And so, especially I think when we are walking this path of personal development and healing, we think, okay, nothing bad's supposed to happen to me. Everything's supposed to be okay because I know more than other people. I'm more awakened, I'm more aware. But the truth is that we're just like everyone else. And yeah, we might all have a certain level of awareness or consciousness or whatever, but we all still have limitations. And so along the way, we're going to probably experience things in life that are going to awaken us to our ego again and tell us, like, actually, you don't know as much as you think, or actually, like, yeah, you don't know everything. And that's definitely been my experience with, like Kim was saying, I was just in this hustler mentality, very masculine energy. Like, I really have strong masculine energy. So I know how to
Mm.
get my shit together, do what I got to do, take the actions I need to take to reach my goals, strategies, etc. But I was deeply in that, and unintentionally, unconsciously, I was not maybe noticing certain signs that were there, or certain messages from the universe telling me, like, hey, you're doing too much, like you need to shift out of this and start stepping more into your feminine, or relax more, trust and surrender. And so my journey evolved in deconstructing my ego and bringing me back to love by kind of having my life crash, like go downhill, having a toxic relationship come into my life that kind of supported me and derailing me, and sending me into this kind of dark night of the soul and crisis where it's like what Pello said, like I was a bleeding healer. And that in my mind was like, I can't be, for me personally, I obviously healers don't need to be completely healed. They don't need to be perfect to work with people. But at that time, I was in such a bad state where I was like, I can't in good conscience, like keep continuing to work with people if I'm in such a low place right now. Like I have to step back, take that pause that Kim talked about earlier, and get myself together, figure myself out, strengthen myself again before I can put myself back out there and work with people again, because I'm not any good to anyone right now. And I just don't feel right working with people and accepting money when I'm in this place, right? So you gotta take that pause to deconstruct. And that period of a few years that I took to step away from everything, and learning to trust and surrender, being more in that feminine energy, was me deconstructing my ego, was me literally, like, it was very painful during those, especially like the first year or so, not working, because the ego is like, bitch, if you don't work, how the fuck are you going to pay for your shit? Like, how are you going to support yourself? How are you going to keep
Yeah.
a roof over your head? Like,
Mm.
real concerns. And I went through my own personal journey. This is not for everyone, but my own personal journey of learning to let that be okay. And it was very frustrating. There was a very intense battle of the egos, or the mental war that, Kim was talking about earlier, in my mind, because you know, I come from a very hardworking, lower class family. I'm closer to my mom's side. So, they had to struggle a lot to survive. Like my grandmother, I come from a family in which my grandmother was basically like a single parent of like 7 kids, and how to try to support all those kids by herself. And, my mom and some of her siblings would had to sometimes go out in the street and like sell things to help make money to feed themselves. And sometimes they didn't eat and all this stuff. And, I have immigrant parents. I was an immigrant too in the US. And so I have like this very like push, get shit done, survival mentality pushing me forward. And when I was in that pause, it was very uncomfortable because there was a lot of guilt from my ego saying, like, oh my God, you're fucking lazy. Your family's gonna think you're lazy. Like, because they're like, what the fuck are you doing with your life? Like, you're too old for this. And like all this judgment, all this shit. And I'm like, I'm just trying to figure shit out. Like, and so I learned a lot of different things during that time. I'm so grateful for my family and the support that they did give me, because God bless my grandma. She put a roof over my head during that time. And my mom helped me out a little bit too, and I'm grateful for that. But like that taught me that like you don't have to worry about how you're gonna eat and where you're gonna sleep. Like, we got you. Things will work themselves out for you. And that gradually helped me lean more into that feminine energy, shift more out of that masculine, learn to relax, learn to flow. And that pause really did serve me in coming back more to myself. And the pandemic for me kind of started all of that. And the pandemic here in Peru lasted like 3 years. I don't know about anyone else, but it lasted forever here. And so during that time I was literally in a cocoon, isolated, just living my life, trying to go through my human experience. And it really brought me back to myself. And so now that's why it's so much like it brought me back into my body. Instead of doing the 200 hours of meditation, I had to do it this other way. And it really brought me back into my body even more, so that now I do have that stronger connection with my intuition. And I do know that if something feels heavy or draining, that's not my way. That's not like subconsciously I already know, like, this is not in alignment with me. This is in alignment with old ways of doing things, old mindsets, old identities. And that's not who I am now, because I'm more in tune with who I truly am. I'm more connected to that love. And I think loving myself means, doing what truly brings me joy, what truly makes me happy, not those unconscious programmings that tell me I have to do things this way in order to do that or get this or get that. It's like learning to trust that, like, whatever I do, however much or however little, is enough. And I just got to do the shit that makes me happy and just, live my best life being happy. And so that's been my journey. And something else that I think, I don't know if it was Pello that said this, or Kim was talking about positivity, and Pello was, elaborating a little bit more on that. But like, I feel like a lot of people today, on the spiritual personal development path, they gaslight themselves because they want to be positively focused. And you know, especially people who are into manifesting, they're like, "Oh, I'm not gonna focus on the negatives because I don't wanna create more of that," and they just kind of, like, ignore it, sweep it to the side, and just try to be positive. But part of being authentic is being real with yourself and admitting your shit and being like, "What the fuck is going on?" Or, "This is actually a really shitty situation, I'm not gonna deny it." It is what it is, and accepting it. And I think a lot of people do themselves a disservice because they're constantly trying to be positive with the best of intentions, but then they're not allowing themselves to really go deep inside of themselves by recognizing the shit that they see. And I think you just, I don't know, there's a resistance there to looking at dark things, painful things, not so pretty things. And when you don't look at that shit, you can't really be a truly authentic person because you're denying aspects of yourself or your life,
Mhm.
and you're not really coming back to love because you're denying a part of yourself. You're denying aspects of your life instead of accepting them and bringing them in and learning to see how you can have gratitude and appreciation and transform those things. So those are the things I want to share.
So, here's what comes up for me. So, the judgment we place on ourselves. And the judgment we place on ourselves makes it even more difficult to get into the space of the balance, the authenticity, the love, the space that takes us to our true self. That's the one thing. The pause and the reset that we are all needing and wanting, not knowing when to stop or to pause. I think a lot of people, we have to go, we have to do. And time seems to be the factor for everyone. Because if I don't do it now, I cannot pause. What does pause mean? If I'm just still, it means that what am I doing? Right? And people find that by pausing or just being still, it's a waste of time, money, those type of things. Big one, that one. Two other things. Love, they feel love is with their partners, it's outside of them. You're going to get love from someone else. You're going to receive some from someone else. Girl, people out there, no one's going to love you that you can love yourself. Come on, let's be real about this shit, right? Like, really. Is someone going to truly love you the way you want to be loved? Do you think that person or someone or something is going to give you that? No one or no thing is going to give you that. You are the only one that can give the love that you are wanting, right? The thing is that, here's the thing. Do you actually know what you want? Do you actually know what is that you want to feel? But you are expecting it from someone else to give it to you, right? The last thing I want to say, I'm going to die. Death, right? Why would I want to live with someone else's bullshit right now? Okay? Death, I'm gonna die. So why not live myself the way I want to live? Right? I die every moment, every day. And I wake up and I'm grateful that I can open my eyes and live another day. I am dying. Death is a topic that we don't talk about. Guess what? I travel, you guys know I travel all the time, right? And I say goodbye to my life when I leave and I get on the plane and I come back home and I'm grateful to be present again. But death is, they have this saying, I think in many cultures have the saying, death is at our doorstep. It's presence. It's there. It's real. Do you understand that? Do you know that? Do you acknowledge that? And a lot of people don't because we live in the shadow. Going back to what Steph has also mentioned as well. We do. And we play small. Now, obviously, death's a different conversation. We're not going to go there. But I do want to, I know we're an hour already, guys. What I do want to talk about is the partner love thingy, where we are expecting our partners to give us the love that we are wanting and needing, right? And fulfilling that gap that that we're searching for or seeking for, and not understanding that we have to give it to ourselves and not ask for someone else to give it to us, right? Piero, I know you and I spoke about it on our talk, so I wanna give this one to you first.
Okay. Thanks, Ash. On the issue of love and getting love from others, I think it's really a situation that was built by human conditioning.
Mm,
We were conditioned in many ways. Number one, we're conditioned because when you're a baby, you get love from the outside, and then what you see, you interpret it as what is supposed to be coming to you or what you feel the world owes you.
mhm,
You grow up, you see people saying, these two people are in love, and you see what they're doing, and then you say, oh, so this is what is love. You get your interpretation from the things that you get exposed to. So we don't really get to know what love really is. We spoke about love as energy, as something that is within us. However, we are taught from a very young age, we are taught that love is something that comes from the outside. To get humanity to understand that love is not necessarily something that's going to come from elsewhere, is something that's a journey on its own, because the journey of love is a very difficult journey. When you tell people that love yourself first, they say, but how do I love myself? You want to tell me that I'm going to hug myself, I'm going to kiss myself, I'm going to, and when you say to somebody, maybe you're going to have to do that, because if it helps you to understand that this is something that you don't get, that you're not owed by anybody, you will probably learn how to do it for yourself. There's a conversation I had with a friend of mine that speaks about love languages. We spoke about that, and she was telling me, so according to psychology, these are the love languages, blah, 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 blah. And there's gifting, and then there's words of affirmation, and my question was, if you talk about a love language, how do you know what a love language is if you've never experienced it? You say, okay, this is my love language. I gift people. You gift people. If you look at people that have that love language, as they call it, you find that they don't receive it. A lot of the times they struggle, they are gifters, but they never receive stuff from people. And people assume you will always gift me things because she is a gifter. She is a gifter. Even when you're broke, they want you to give them. If you use words of affirmation, yes, oh, you're so beautiful, oh, this, oh, that, you know that you're intelligent, you know this, that about you, and you say all of these things to a person, and you put them on a pedestal. And then there's touch, my love language is touch. You find that a lot of the times people tend to distance themselves from those people, and so there's a yearning that they have. And my question is, do people call themselves people with that love language because they actually lack it, and so maybe they are doing it so that people can reciprocate? So there's a lot about love in the romantic context that
Mm-hmm.
makes me question if that is indeed love. Because if that's a love language, why is it not a language that people are using with you? Why is it that you are the only one that's using that language? So it's like you're speaking Greek to them, and they're responding in isiZulu, and they're responding in Sutu, and they're not understanding your language. What is it really? So if you don't teach yourself that language, you will not know how to receive it. That's my analogy. If I don't teach myself, I'm open when I'm teaching myself and I'm doing these things for myself. I take myself for a massage. I take my when I'm very intentional when I'm putting on my moisturizer and whatnot. When I'm doing something on my body, I'm very intentional about it. When I do that, I am teaching myself to open up to those experiences. I am not going to sit and wait for somebody to do it for me. And you find that people that do things for themselves a lot, they actually attract people that offer those things to them. I have a belief that hasn't been proven, a belief that says there is a hidden chakra somewhere. There's a hidden chakra somewhere that has not been identified yet, that I'm opening up when I'm doing things for myself. And then people are able to now maybe reciprocate, or not even reciprocate but initiate, or I then tend to attract people that give me what I am giving myself. So I have that belief, and no one is going to tell me otherwise, and no one is going to tell me that it doesn't exist. In my mind it exists because I've proven it with myself. So love for me is something that you need to start cultivating within yourself. Then you can be a magnet for that babe called love.
So true. So true. Kim?
100%. Yeah, I think I'm going to share. It says exactly all I can hear in my head is confirmation of what Pillar was saying, and also I want to also touch on something that Steph said that was so important, because I think I mentioned to Sheshni in the introduction part that I've been doing a lot of shadow work with my clients now, because that is what I just have had to do with myself. And there's two different facets here that we could discuss in great length. And the one is our inability to have a healthy relationship with ourselves is where it began, that we couldn't attract a healthy relationship with another human being. And so we had to go through multiple unhealthy attachment styles, unhealthy attachments, for that person to almost be our shadow experiment, the person who is showing us our very projection that we're needing to integrate, which is, oh wait, I don't even have a healthy relationship with myself. I've got so many big, loud, noisy abandonment wounds that I just cling onto the wrong thing and then I just project. So that's not love, right? So this returning to love it's quite a journey, and there's 3 tiers to remembrance. I don't actually know how definitive the 3 tiers are, but definitely 2 of them is healing is permanently on the go. Healing there.
Mm-hmm.
We're healing
Yeah.
ourselves as long as we're willing to visit the darkness with the light. You can't become enlightened without going right through the darkness. You just
Yep.
the one is not independent of the other. They work together. They're simultaneously operating on the same nothingness and everythingness. It's one. It's one journey. And the partner that Steph was speaking about, that she attracted this toxic relationship that actually made her come to her livid end, and then I just love those, if you can see it for what it was meant to teach you. You can really integrate that, and then it becomes a superpower. It becomes knowledge, it becomes wisdom, it becomes that self-love embodied. I understand myself. It was never about them, it was me. It's about, we can't go around blaming anymore. We need to remain accountable for the lesson that
Yep.
we just had right before our eyes. And that is about loving ourselves first. And then believing that we can attract a healthy relationship really rests on the seesaw in this crazy life of, can I believe that every day I'm having a healthy relationship with myself? How do I speak to myself? Do I spend quality time with myself? Do I do random acts of kindness towards myself? Am I consistent in my commitments to myself? Do I hold myself accountable? These things that I do for myself are acts of love. And this is like how I had to really disconnect from every human being that I was helping or working with at the end of 2023. Just, I was taken off the radar by my whole body, mind, spirit. My whole group just severed the cord and said, girl, this far and no further. Self-love returns. And that means work. So we're in a hurry. Church, am I going to attract a good relationship this year? Am I going to meet someone who's right for me this year? Well, I don't know. Have you met yourself? Have you really gone and sat with yourself? Let's talk about you.
I'm
And
so
then
sorry.
maybe that
There's
will
so
be
many.
like,
Sorry, there's so many people that ask those questions, and I'm sure all of you have clients that ask you these questions, right?
Of
And it's
course.
it's so ironic because they want you to give you that answer and feed them with what they're wanting to hear. And it's so hard. I mean, I don't know about you, but I cannot do that, especially if you haven't done the work, right? No one's going to enter your energy field if you haven't done the work. You're going to get what you put out. You're going to attract the same thing back. And people do not understand that, right? Kim, sorry, Kim. I just started
no,
laughing because it's
100%
the
right.
most funniest thing, right? Because I get asked the question all the
We are
time.
we are hilarious. We are a bunch of fools walking around thinking that we can fool ourselves. And that's what Pillow said, like, can't you wake up, guys? Can't you wake up? Because I'm okay. I'm really okay
Oh,
laughing at the hypocrisies of life and laughing at the mistakes of, but really we have to sit with what we've learned, because sometimes we can be idiotic and repeat mistakes and then eventually, like, there's the writing on the wall. But it's okay as long as you get there, as long as if you really would like a truly aligned relationship,
yeah.
there has to be that alignment and truth and integrity and honesty in yourself. I mean, I think one of the hardest things for humanity to have really had a relationship with is truth, because of all the BS and the lies we fed every day of our lives anyway. It's like,
Yeah.
this is why a lot of things at the moment point to discernment. Guys, wake up. Your intuition, Pello said it, your intuition is your highest guide. So get your body grounded and get your mind silent and go into your heart and feel like, Sheshni sitting for 200 hours. Okay, I'm getting it. So 200 hours in a whole lifetime. I think we need to go back for another 200 hours because it's never going to be enough. We need to be silent. And silence isn't no words. I mean, we shouldn't even really have to say how we feel in words. It needs to be completely embodied and felt.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's hard for humanity to do is really feel, because it means that we must go closer to pain and we must visit the reality of an unhealthy relationship with ourselves. And
Yeah.
only when we do that do we confront that ego that's going, let's not go there. And you have to be the big guy with divine mother here, divine masculine there saying, sorry, we're doing this now. We're doing this together now. We're bringing these two energies together. I mean, I had a very absent, unavailable father. So, emotionally unavailable father. There was a role he played, and it was that role. So that was exactly what I attracted until I actually dealt with certain things in myself. So he wasn't a bad guy. He was just emotionally unavailable. And so every partnership, emotionally unavailable, until eventually you recognize it in yourself. You become emotionally unavailable because you have a default setting that hasn't been healed. And that is not love. Being present with one another is what love is. So you have to learn to be present with yourself.
I
Just
think,
saying.
just saying, just saying. I think we should change the channel's name to Just Saying.
No, I like the just be part because sometimes there are no words, like I don't have any words right now.
Just
Just
be, right? I mean,
unbelievable.
just be, just be. I
Yeah.
know.
Just,
I think, I think we all have so much of people that come to us for help and healing and understanding and clarity and things like that. Sometimes for me, it is a little bit sad. It is a little bit sad, the way people are conditioned and how they find themselves and becoming in that victimhood and remain in that space, right? I mean, and it breaks my heart seeing people like that there's no hope and not having faith and trust in themselves to get out of that. I have, we've all been through many parts and phases of our lives. We've all been through suffering through all of those things. And I do remember many years ago, and I think it was probably like 10 years ago when I started my own journey as well. And I got out of this very messy, unhealthy, very bad marriage, let alone all the good that came out of it as well. And I said to myself, with a priest that I met and a monk that I met in Bali, and I said, if there's one thing I would want to do is learn how to suffer. And if I learn how to suffer, I would suffer more less. I would, suffer less in life. And that will bring me closer to the love that I need to feel and knowing that that's me. And over the last 10 years, I learned how to suffer in the way that I knew best that my heart would go to. And it is the Buddhist tradition as well, in that sense of if know how to suffer, thou would enter love in its own way and fashion. And I must admit, learning how to suffer was the most close I've gotten to myself in the truth that I stepped in and forward in realizing my true self. Because suffering, I'm not calling pain is physical pain, but suffering is the core essence of your truth, who you are, and how you deal and respond to that suffering is where you come the closest and how you get to love. Last year when I entered Egypt, for the first time when I went to Egypt, I remembered what love is. Going through the ancient temples, the ancient portals, and understanding what that meant. And when I went into one of the temples, I cried and cried and cried. Not really, I'm a person that doesn't cry, right? And the crying came in, and it was the most beautiful experience to have experienced that cry, because it wasn't a cry for suffering or pain or love. It was crying for joy, for happiness, for remembering the love and that feminine side that I not only lost and forgotten, but knew it was always within me. And that for me is true divine connection, in that we all have it. It's just that, are we willing to stop and just pause? And just, are you wanting to reset? Are you wanting that you find in someone else, knowing that you think you can't get it, but you can? It's just that you're not willing to do the work, right? Because trust me, all of us sitting around here right now have done so much of work, and still so much to go on. Because as much as we have all found our steps forward, we have all found some part of us that's moving forward, we all know here collectively there is still more to come for us. Because the road, there's no end to it. It continues all over again. But it's how you respond and react to that. That's where everything gets shown. So, guys, I want to say thank you. But before I cut off, the channel is about we gather, which we have. What can we share with our viewers in terms of doing? So we gather, we do, we embody. That's what this channel is about. So your final last words, guys, I know we can speak for hours. You know that, right? In all different aspects. And we did speak about a lot. So in closing, for each of you, if you could just share something for people to start doing, start practicing, whatever you feel called to share with them. Pella, I'll start with you.
Thanks again, Sesh, and thank you to the ladies, because I really have been inspired by them in a lot of the things that I'm also remembering. What I would like to share with people is firstly recognizing when you're needing to take stock. It will feel like there's a lot of mirrors around you. It's like your world becomes a world of mirrors, and all those mirrors are showing you something you don't like. And so it will feel like, no, but that can't be me. That can't be me. Suddenly you've got a lot of angry people dealing with you. Suddenly you've got a lot of situations that feel dark. And those are mirrors to show you the sides that of yourself, your blind spots, the sides of yourself that you're not seeing. It will feel like that. It will feel like pain. It will feel like suffering. When you get to that point, take stock, slow down, find time for yourself, even if it's just 10 minutes a day. And Sesh did say, be consistent. Find time to quieten the noise. Find time to reflect. Find time to listen. If you are a prayerful person, you can pray, but it is also equally important to have time to listen, because as much as you pray, there's stuff that comes back to you that you need to honestly look at. So you need to honestly look at yourself when you see that in front of you, when you see thoughts coming up, when you see things that you need to work on. Let's say, for example, there's things that you need to fix in your life. If, for example, there's relationships that you need to fix, if there's people you need to forgive, stuff like that, because that's you now remembering that all of life is not about being negative and fighting and all of that. So the negative energy, the love in you rises, so that that negative energy, you can stay it in the face and start doing things that are going to put your inner self at peace. Start listening, because you've got intuition. All of us have intuition. If there's situations that you don't know how to navigate or you need guidance on, the first guide that you have is guides that you don't see. And those guides will go right into your intuition, so you become in tune with them, and they will tell you exactly what you need to do. And you will be guided to the right spaces or to the right practices that will bring you to a space where you embody the love that you are. Allow yourself to walk the path and do not be scared. It will be scary. Trust me, when you're walking a path of awakening, a path of facing your true self, it's painful, it's difficult. But don't be scared and run away. Instead, walk through it, feel every single emotion that is there, that is going to be available to you. I don't want to say everything because I believe the other ladies will have something to add to that. Thank you so much, Sash.
Thank you, Pillow. Steph?
Well, what I want to say is that, um, first of all, I didn't get to finish sharing my thoughts on this stuff with relationships and partners and expecting love from a partner. So I want to throw my 2 cents there.
Okay, go ahead, go ahead.
Um, well, I think that that's very true, and that we all get caught up in that trap. And I think in my case, even when, because I today I'm just sharing about my experience, I guess. Um, philosopher stuff is gone, experiential stuff is here. But what I have realized too is like even when you know all this stuff, the personal development, the healing, whatever, you can still unintentionally fall back into the trap of expecting your partner to give you things and love instead of taking personal responsibility. And this is kind of what leads me into what I want to share today is like take ownership, take personal responsibility. And a lot of times it's easier for us to just wipe our hands clean and expect everyone and everything outside of us to fix itself and to make itself better instead of looking at ourselves. And it just doesn't work that way. You know, you are creating your reality from what you are vibrating, you are putting out there consciously or unconsciously. And in my case, um, you know, after that toxic relationship, I went through this whole journey of like healing around love, romance, relationships, and it led me to like one person, and that I had to use that wisdom, that experience, that discernment to decide like, no, you're not it. Another person also, and I just was like filtering. And by the time I did get to, you know, my partner who I'm currently with, it still wasn't perfect. It still was not perfect. And you might be under the illusion or the mistaken idea that like I'm gonna do all this inner work, and then finally the right person, my knight in shining armor, my like queen is gonna show up and everything's gonna be, you know, hunky-dory or perfect. And that's not that way either. A lot of times, even, you know, those people can still inspire growth and healing, and just be mirrors for us to continue to look at ourselves and continue to work through things. And that was my case. And initially, because I was so out of practice with all of this personal development and healing work, because I stepped away from it, you know, initially I was just being a human, doing regular human things, which was like, why are you acting this way? Get it together. Okay. And, you know, there was issues there for a while, which, you know, those were the signs that showed up for me along the way is like, girl, like the universe is like, how much longer are you going to keep trying to do this, you know, like fix things this way, like, you know, that that's not the way. You need to come back to personal development and healing. You need to work on yourself and look at yourself, because, you know, there's only so much you can do on a human level to just try to correct behavior or improve things, but there's something
Mhm.
deeper beyond that that you have to look at. And so eventually, you know, life brought me to the healing work that I practice, which is theta healing. And then that gradually started bringing me back to my old work, which is more shadow work. And, you know, just even very recently in the last month, I, you know, did my shadow work, but kind of via theta healing. I'm like figuring out my own way. Anyway, the point is that I addressed some stuff that was coming up for me in my relationship. And when I did it in this mixed way, I don't know why, but the next time there was a situation, I just wasn't triggered anymore. I wasn't bothered anymore. I'm like, okay, I handled it so much better. And that's a testament to the fact that, like, when you work on yourself and you stop expecting your partner to give you something or to be differently or whatever, like, even if they're not showing up in the best way, it doesn't affect you anymore, you know, and I had to be reminded of that. And so it's really like you have to look at yourself and you have to take that ownership. And that really that recent experience really inspired me to be like, okay, like I've been causing my own suffering this whole damn time because I have not wanted to take ownership. Yeah. And I have to remember that. And I knew this back in the day, but I've been out of practice. And I'm like,
Mhm.
you know, getting back into it. I'm like, okay, girl, like if you want things to get better, look at yourself, work on yourself. That's all you can do because you can't control people outside of you. right? So that's what I want to leave people with, is like, take ownership. And if you're expecting things from your partner, look at yourself and see how you're not giving yourself these things. And in my case specifically, there was a lot of issues with feeling like, my partner is a good person, but sometimes I feel like they're not emotionally like intelligent or mature as I would like for them to be, and that's been frustrating for me. And when I did my own healing on myself, I reconnected with my parents. It always comes back to your parents usually, and your upbringing, your childhood, and having forgiveness for my parents, appreciation, just this inner work healing conversations with them on a spirit level. And then that caused me to no longer continue to put pressure or expectations on my partner to give me the things that they didn't, and I was able to be more relaxed around that. So next time they didn't show up the way I wanted or expected, I wasn't bothered anymore, because it's like I've resolved that inside of myself. You know what I mean? And it's just personal responsibility.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Steph. Yeah, I think we create our own suffering, right? Hence why I say learn how to suffer and then you'll suffer less. Right? Absolutely. Thank you so much for that, Steph. Kim, your final words for us as we close off now.
I think I'd like to just try and leave some really good pillars or anchors, because we've all had such value that we've shared with each other today in terms of personal experience and real good teachings, because we must all remain teachable. It's just my philosophy in life. Remain teachable. We don't know what we don't know, and we're learning every day. And I agree with you, Steph. We can actually heal together. We can heal ourselves by ourselves, with spirit and divine love. But we can heal together with other beautiful humans who are in the same frequency as us. But I think the important thing I'd like to say is that we actually just need to be grounding ourselves in love from the moment we open our eyes. That gratitude to be alive at this time, to be available for our lives, for this vessel that is carrying us through this experience. And there's a reason we're here, and we need to return to belief. And we can receive remembrance and healing in belief in the divine Trinity, as that's how I see remembrance working. Remembrance is about those experiences, previous life, past life, present life, all integrated, bringing us into the shadow and the light, and bringing it together into healing, but returning to belief, because returning to belief then returns us to a sense of our own purpose, our own sense of authority, ownership. And then when we have that, we have the tools to be empowered, and we can empower others. And we can do that because of the discernment we've actually embraced through the process of remembrance, healing, and belief. And so these energies just keep moving in with one another and feeding one another. And if we stay in that philosophy of grounding into love every day, gratitude, and then intention, we can start co-creating together and co-creating through love energies, and not all these crazy fear energies that we get sucked back into.
Fantastic, ladies. Thank you so much. Truly appreciate it. And I just want to say thank you for your time. It has been a crazy week with me this week getting this going. And it was so worth it. So worth it with your wisdom, your experience. And I think just coming together and just sharing, what it's been like over the last few years between our collective journeys that we've been on. So as we end today, I want to say to our guest speakers, thank you so much for your time, for your patience, and more especially for your wisdom. And for those that are watching, I want to thank you for coming on, sharing your thoughts, your comments, and for those that will be coming and watching it later, please, if there's any questions that you may have, the guests they're all linked on social media, so you are welcome to tag them. And if you're wanting to do some blueprint work with Pello, some numerology, or some healing with Kim, or some theater healing with Steph, please reach out. I'm sure the ladies are happy to help. And if you just want to pause and be in stillness, you know how to reach me. Until I see you guys again, thank you so much for your time. And to our audience, thank you guys so much for your support. Ladies, thank you so much. Have a great day. Thank you. Bye.